Tosi Maharani. We offer our most respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas devoted to the Lord, who just like desire trees who fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion, fallen conditioned souls. No, that was just for COVID. Okay. Make sure the sound is there. Hare Krishna. It's working. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janamalabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janamalabha Girivardhari. Yasudanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yasudanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Manachari. Yamuna Tera Manachari. Jayo Rana Madhuva Kunya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari. Gopi Jana Balaba Iri Baladhari. Gopi Jana Balaba Iri Baladhari. Yasura Nandana Vraja Janadana Yasura Nandana Vraja Janadana Yamuna Te Ravana Chati Yamunate Ravanachati Jai Hurad Hamadhova Kunjabihahure Jai Radhamadhuva Kunjabihahure Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya also Teta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Savaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadwaita Gadadha Sipasiti Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopikopanath Sayam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturadam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamuna Ki Jai Shrimati Galasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai, Namo Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pastaya, Budale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani, Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharni, Nivasesha, Srinivadi Pashyati. On what? Well, I think there's sound on my, what's it? It's something that, well, maybe, yeah, you got to take the computer sound. There's a computer sound dial there. You got to turn it up. Is it all? It's probably all the way down to Mayapur TV. It says Mayapur TV or something. You see it? Mayapur TV. You see it or not? Time for class. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter, text 3. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tam Aprichad Drishikeshaha Kim Te Drishtam Iva Bhutam Bhumau Vyati Toye Va Tata From Lakshayamahe Tam Prachad Rishikesha Kim te drishtam ivadbhutam. Bhumalviyate toyeva. Tatatvam lakshiyamahe. Tama prachadrashi kesha. Kim te drishtam ivadbhutam. Bhumavyate toyeva. Tatatvam lakshayamahe. Kama prachadrashi kesha. Kim te drishtam ivadbhutam. Bhumavyate toyeva. Tatatvam lakshayamahe. Yeva. Shayam. Okay. Tam of him, Aprichat asked, Rishikesha, Lord Krishna, Kim, whether, Te, by you, Drishtam, seen, Eva, indeed, Adbhutam, something exceptional, Bhumau, on the earth, Vyate, in the sky, Toye, in the water, Va, or, Tata, so, Twang, you, Lakshya we surmise. Translation, Lord Krishna asked Akrura, have you seen something wonderful on the earth, in the sky, or in the water? From your appearance, we think you have. So, you can repeat, Lord Krishna asked Akrura, have you seen something wonderful on the earth, in the sky, or in the water? From your appearance, we think you have. So there's no purport by the followers of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, and Jiva Goswami just has a purport here, and I'll read that. Krishna, who inspires the senses or is omniscient, Rishikesha, spoke out of curiosity, what did you experience at this holy place? It looks like you have seen something astonishing. It can see that by your, yeah, it says I can see, but it actually says it here. It should be I. They made a mistake. I can see that by your appearance, such as your wide eyes. I can see that by your appearance, such as your wide eyes. Nunam te drishtam Ascharyam Krura Yamuna Jale Vishmayot Pula Nayano Bhavam Sang Lakshate Yataha. O Krura, you must have seen something astonishing in the water of the Yamuna, since you have wide eyes. That's from the Vishnu Purana. He spoke in the plural to indicate that his elder brother also had noticed this. And I'm just going to read the next text, and then we'll comment. Text 4. Shri Kruravacha Oputani ha yavanti bumal viati vajale Twai Vishvamakei Tani King me drishtam vipashataha. Shri Krura said, whatever wonderful things in the earth, sky, or water contain, all exist in you. Since you encompass everything, when I'm seeing you, what have I not seen? So, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, Krishna has shown me his own opulences as described in the previous chapter, verses 44 to 55. Akrura came to this conclusion when Krishna asked his question. With great joy, he then spoke the truth. Whatever remarkable things are on the earth, in the sky, or water, they are all within your form as the universe. Seeing you before me, what more remarkable sight remains? Everything is seen by seeing you, and Jiva Goswami says. Having understood that Krishna was non-different from that form, now we considered that all this to be Krishna's power after Krishna mercifully asked him a question, and he gained further realization. Whatever remarkable things exist on earth, in the sky, or in the water exist within you alone. They do not exist separately in water, in earth, or in the sky, since you are the root cause of the universe. Vishvat Makhe. Giving shelter to it, the middle term of the compound is omitted. Yasmin Vigyate Sarvam Vigyatam Bhavati. Knowing him, everything is known. Shandilya Upanishad. It's also from some of the other Upanishads, too. It means one who knows Krishna knows everything. We'll speak about that. What can I see that is astonishing on earth, in the water, or in the air? Nothing. What I have seen within you. In seeing you, I have seen everything. And Sanatana Goswami says, Iha means in the world. The cause of astonishing things is you, the form of the universe, Vishvat Makhe. As I directly saw Vipashataha you, what have I not seen? Okay, so Om Gana Timiranda Shah Garanjana Shalakaya Chakshur Udmeditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. First, I'm going to read what the Krishna book says. Pretty much the same thing. Krishna asked whether he had seen something wonderful within the water or in space. Akrura said, my dear Lord, all wonderful things that are happening within this world, either in the sky or in the water or in the land, are factually appearing in your universal form. Prabhupada uses the expression universal form in the Krishna book. So, this universal form is quite interesting because it evokes Adbhuta. Just like yesterday, Mataji was talking about Adbhuta, a sense of wonder. Wow. So this sense of wonder, as mentioned yesterday, is essential for everyone in all the different rasas. But now we're going to first speak about the beginning stages of devotional service, because many of us are not on the later stages where we can imagine ourselves being in a rasa dance or something like that. I can imagine myself, my imagination goes insofar as the Yamadutas coming after me if I don't behave myself. That's my Adbhuta realization. Shock. Also, there's some ghastliness built into that. Ghastliness. So, anyway, that's my imagination. I better chant nicely, or else I'm going to have to take another birth and be in a mother's womb. So I imagine myself like that, being in the womb, all cramped up, and my mother taking spicy Indian food. Just going, ah, 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 ah. So that's the extent of my imagination. So sorry about that. I'm not that advanced. So anyway, this sense of wonder is extremely important, and that's why Krishna displays this universal form. So bring us to the platform of awe and reverence, not only wonder, but awe and reverence, which is basically a prerequisite that is foundational in Krishna consciousness. I mean, that's why the Bhagavatam, what does the Bhagavatam do? Bhagavatam, first canto is the lotus feet of the Lord, and then there's so much description in the first parts of the first cantos of the Bhagavatam about the creation, universal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's different universal forms. I mean, what Krura is seeing here is quite a bit different than what Arjuna saw in the Bhagavad Gita, or what's being described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, like the mountains or the stacks of bones, etc., like that, the trees of the hairs on his body. That's not exactly what Akrura is seeing now. So there's probably infinite varieties of manifestations of the universal form. And that evokes a sense of wonder. And for those who are not even Krishna conscious, then it can actually help one understand there's God, right? I mean, so for people on different stages, this sense of Adbhuta helps in different ways. Like for Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, this vision of the universal form gave him assurance. First of all, taught him Krishna's God, he's taking care of you, and also assurance that all these creeps are going to die, right? Because he could see not everyone was a creep, but not everybody, but, because the people are some good guys, but everybody was rushing into the mouths of universal form. And then Krishna, when he was displaying that universal form, he was actually able to tell Arjuna that, everybody's going to die except for you, the Pandavas, and a few other people in this battle. And Arjuna was assured of success. Like Bhagavad Gita says, wherever there is Krishna and Arjuna, there's morality, there's success, and everything like that. So Arjuna, that was another meaning for displaying that universal form. But let's get to the point of those who are doubting the existence of God. There's this actual, there's actually a branch of theology called natural theology, which is interesting. It's which means knowledge of God based upon what observable facts within this world, which is really interesting, and experience apart from divine revelation. That's what natural theology is, because divine revelation is great, but we haven't had too much of that recently. So that means when you actually, like in the Jaiva Dharma, you have Sannyasi Thakur seeing the vision of how Mayapur was when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was present. And he saw, everything in the kirtan and everything going on, and then the vision disappeared. So that's a divine revelation. Or, if last night Krishna came down and said to me, hey, you got to have faith, Maharaj. Here I am. That's divine revelation. Or he shook my hand, which he hasn't done too recently, as far as I can remember. Like he did with Lord Brahma. When Lord Brahma was actually meditating after hearing the instructions of tapa, 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 then Krishna came and, after his mature realization, and shook his hand. So shaking hands is not just a Western thing, it's actually Vedic. So that's divine revelation. But there's natural theology, which is a proof of God by observation of this material world. And there's interesting thing, uh, Sir Isaac Newton said that, there's an interesting quote by him. He says that the thumb alone can prove the existence of God. I don't know if anyone's heard that quote before. Really interesting, the thumb. What's there? Of course, we have, human beings have this thing called a opposable thumb, which gives us a lot of interesting things. We can use computers and write and pick up things a lot better than other animals can. So what he meant was that when you observe this, the complexity of this material phenomena, and also there's that example of how we had this model of the solar system and everything like that, and he said you have to believe in God because, all these things are happening. When you observe the complexity of this material world, you have to come to the conclusion that there was a mind that designed it all. And that mind had to be transcendental to it all. I mean, it's just obvious. I mean, the Mayavadis, okay, so the Mayavadis, basically they're atheists because they think everything came about by chance. There's no ultimate mind. There's no, because a mind means what? A person, right? I mean, it's very hard for me to envision a disembodied mind without a person. I mean, because as soon as there's mind, there must be consciousness. Consciousness means there's some person. I mean, even the animals have minds. So it's interesting. Adi Purusha did an analysis the other day about how the Mayavadis are actually atheists because they believe that, God has no personality, no mind. And so ultimately that means everything came about by chance. Whoops. So that means everything came about by chance, which is basically they believe in the same thing that all the evolutionary theorists and atheists believe in. So they are Pashandis. Of course, this word Pashandi means like atheist or Nashti, like that. And you don't want to call them Pashandis because they get very angry with that. I used to go to the Hindu centers and tell them they were all Pashandis, but didn't get many invitations. My favorite quote was, Yastu Narayana Devana Brahma Rudradi Daivata Samitpane Visheta Sapashandi Bhavetruvam. One who thinks that Narayan and all these demigods are equal is a Pashandi. And after that, no more invitations. So, anyway, so if we observe the material phenomena, then we come to the conclusion. I mean, just like even modern science, you talk about these different forces of nature, like what's called the weak, the strong. That doesn't mean some 90-pound weakling, some guy. Is the weak, the strong, gravity and electromagnetism. Anyone's heard about these things before? So weak mean the weak means the forces, basically the atomic forces to bind things together. The strong is the strong forces that bind things together, in the nucleus, and the gravity, obviously, what goes up must go down. And electromagnetism, like we have here in the computer. So these are the forces, and I don't think I should get into too many details about them, but they're balanced so precisely that if one of them was like 1/1000% off, everything would just fall apart. You wouldn't have anything. So you look at that, and then of course one of my favorite topics is the cell in the body. And we've spoken about that before, how the cell in the body is just like so amazing. You got creatures inside the cell. Look, what appears to be creatures, like my favorite person, the Canation, who walks around carrying he's a cellular garbage man. He has a little sack of garbage and he walks on these little
roads inside the cell, and the cell's infinitely more complex than all the cities in the world combined. And there's so many different mechanisms. There's the cellular membrane that knows when to open up to let some proteins out, and knows when to close up. And just like, huh? What's happening? So you look at all these things and adbhuta, right? Wow. You look up in the sky, you see the stars. I remember when I was a young kid. Young kid. Kid is young. So, not a goat. So, anyways, then I would look up, I would be camping out, and I'd look up in the sky. There must be a God. There must be a God. There must be a God. And so that really helped bring me to Krishna consciousness. So we need to evoke that sense in our own lives of how wonderful and how amazing Krishna is, so we can advance and take Krishna consciousness seriously and be strict in Krishna consciousness. So we have to have that, a little fear there too. Fear of God is not a bad thing. I mean, obviously, we don't want to go to the extent where we go around telling people you're going to go to hell unless you start chanting Hare Krishna. But the fear, it's a little healthy. I got to finish my rounds. I have to wake up for Mangalarti, right? Because Maya is there, and Maya will take me over. So, anyway, so that's one reason here. So another reason that we hear about this universal form is to, again, my favorite verse in Bhagavad Gita, to see Krishna in everything and Krishna everywhere. Even as devotees who are aware of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan or Krishna's pastimes in Dwarka, we want to be able to see Krishna in everything and everywhere. And of course, the Bhagavatam has this wonderful verse. It's one of the nutshell verses. Ratevatam napratyeta chatmati tad vidyad atmano mayam yata basha yata tamaha. That's 2934, where Krishna basically says, I'm going to read it, to Brahma. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. In other words, just unpack that. If you're seeing it without any relationship to me, it has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, which is a reflection that appears to be in darkness. So the point is that everything has some reality, but the illusion is how we perceive everything. You understand? It's not that something is unreal. It may be unreal in the sense that Krishna describes it's temporary, yes, but it has some reality. It's at least Krishna's external energy. And the form it takes is temporary. And but it is our consciousness in observing that thing that is important. So one has to be able to see Krishna in everything and everywhere. And of course, also that means yukta vairagya, how to utilize everything in Krishna's service. So that's why the universal form is very important, or different aspects of the universal form, or aspects of Krishna manifesting himself in matter. So another point made here in this verse is really interesting, where Prabhupada quotes, not Prabhupada, but the Acharyas quote, Yasmin vigyate sarvam evam vigyatam bhavati, which basically means if you know Krishna, you know everything. And generally that's understood as coming from the Mundaka Upanishad, although it's in some of the other Upanishads. And here's some Prabhupada's words about this. If one knows the absolute truth, this is Prabhupada's commentary on the Mundaka Upanishad verse. If one knows the absolute truth, then all other things become known. Prabhupada says, I am not a PhD, yet I can challenge the scientists. Like some scientists, who's expert in biology, will talk about, let's say, the egg and how the egg is composed of different substances, they'll talk about how it came about by chance, and Prabhupada then, I guess it was Hansadut who challenged the scientist, all right, if you know all the ingredients in the egg, so you make it. You create a chicken or you create an egg. So, just a very simple way to defeat someone who is very sophisticated in his knowledge of the material energy. Prabhupada said, yet I can challenge the scientist. Why? Because I know Krishna, the absolute truth. Yasmin stito na dukena gurunapi vichalyate. If one is situated in Krishna consciousness, then even the greatest calamities he will not be disturbed. In other words, another point, they're seeing Krishna behind everything and everywhere. Just like if something happens, it's Krishna. As I mentioned many times before, as long as it's not your foolishness, it's Krishna. Otherwise, it's your foolishness or some mistake you made. So in other words, let's say you're subject to the greatest pain and whatever, then you just think Krishna's put me in those situations to teach me something. What am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to do? Srimad Bhagavatam declares, Avichuto rata kavibir nirupito yadutama shloka gunanuvarnanam. Great personalities have decided that Krishna consciousness is the perfection of life. This kind of knowledge is required, not that we have to do some research, come up with a theory, and after 15 years say, no, it is not right. It is another thing. Prabhupada would comment on this too, that, they're coming up with new theories. This is not science. That is child's play. If the sun is out, we can see everything very clearly. More comments on this verse. Similarly, in the Vedas, it says, Yasmin bigati sarmevam bigatam bhavati. By understanding God, we understand all other things. Then we automatically become jolly. That's an interesting statement of Prabhupada. You become jolly because you see Krishna everywhere. Again, the universal form. You see Krishna everywhere. Krishna's taking care of things. Everything has a purpose. Teleology, the study of purposes. And so it says, joy. I'm dying, joy. Why? It's Krishna's arrangement. I get to serve Krishna, Next life, get a brand new body. Trade in this body, vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya, right? Just like, when a lady gets a new set of clothes, joy. Right? Yeah, wow, look at this new dress you got. So I got a new body. Anyways, so Prabhupada said, prasanatma means jolly. Brahmabhuta, Prabhupada quotes, Brahmabhuta prasanatma. Of course, at that time, we could see that everyone is exactly like ourselves, samak sarveshu bhuteshu, because everyone is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So these are basic realizations that are so important before we can advance to a later stage in Krishna consciousness. At this point, real service to the Lord begins. And we attain the platform of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. Another quote from Prabhupada. If you can understand the Supreme Personality Godhead, or the Absolute Truth, then you understand everything. There's no need of understanding separately. Yasmin Vigata, of course, same time, let me just qualify that. In order to serve Krishna, the Isopanishad mentions vidya avidya. We have to cultivate some knowledge of avidya in this world, just to serve Krishna. So therefore, sometimes it's necessary for a devotee to go to university, get a PhD, just to serve Krishna. Just like Adipurusha is doing so much nice work because he has his PhD and studied philosophy and theology very nicely. And some of his writings are very wonderful, proving the existence of God, proving that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very enlivening things using the material energy. Yasmin vigate sarva vigatum. Similarly, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, this is an important verse, Yam labla chaparam labam manyate nadikam tata yasmin stite guru napi dukena na vichalite. Translation is the stage of perfection is called trance or samadhi when one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the purest mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, here's the point, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and joys himself through transcendental senses established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. And that all comes from seeing Krishna everywhere and in everything. And as Krishna says, one who sees me in everything and sees me everywhere is never lost to me, nor am I ever lost to him. So anyway, these are some of the points from this verse. So any questions or comments? Rudrani. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yes, that's a fact. Automatically, as a result of seeing like that, that was the point I was making. One engages everything in Yukta Vairagya in Krishna's service. Yes, Mother Urmila.
So are you worried about being in a mother's womb when she's eating spicy food? Or are you
What's
saying,
that?
Jai, I'm gonna get a new body? Which was it?
Well, I imagine both things. And sometimes I'm happy about it, sometimes I'm not.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Asa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Adi Purusha Namaha Bhajami Govinda Adi Purusha Namaha Bhajami Govinda Adi Purusha Namaha Bhajami Govinda Adi Purusha
Namak Om Vishnu Pataya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Damaniti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pacha Nivasesha Shunyavadi Vasyachadi Satarande Nivasesha Shunyati Vasyachadi Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sidvaita Gajana Shiva Sati Govardhana Sri Krishna Sri Advaita Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gajana Shiva Sati Govardhana Sri Advaita Gajana Shiva Sati Govardhana Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gajana Shiva Sati Govardhana Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Govinda Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hare Govinda Jaya Jaya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Harukinana Radha, Harukinana Ragate. Jaya Radha, Harukinana Radha, Harukinana Ragate. Jaya Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe. Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa Paravitkacharya, also Teta.